Hey, and welcome back. You know, there isn't a whole lot that creeps me out. Sure, there's things like aliens and commitment, but what can really get under my skin is the thought of parasites. These disgusting creatures that use you as a host while they feed and grow is just so unnerving. It's a good thing, however, these nightmare fuel monsters aren't human-sized. Well, unfortunately for Mulder and Scully, today's episode deals with just that. Today we're looking at The Host, episode 2 of season 2. Debuting on the Fox network September 23rd, 1994, The Host follows Agent Mulder as he tracks down a humanoid parasitic worm as it terrorizes from inside a sewer system. Now, if you're eating, at this point I would recommend that you stop. The episode begins in the Atlantic Ocean, 2 miles off the coast of New Jersey. A Russian freighter is out at sea when their toilets start to overflow. I know a couple Italian plumbers that would have had that fixed in a jiffy. Unfortunately for young Dimitri, he's been given the honorable task of taking care of the backup. Shit literally rolls downhill when you're the new guy. I can't even begin to imagine the smell that is emanating from that tank. In typical Russian fashion, he's given no PPE to deal with the matter. Well, having worked in a chemical factory myself, that's kind of how they do things in Canada too. I'm sorry, but if I got pulled into that tank, I would pray and hope the Fluke Man would just end me quick, because that's disgusting. Mulder is once again stuck listening to wiretaps, along with what appears to be practicing his cursive writing and drawing rocket ships, until a couple other agents inform him he's being moved to a murder case.
Assistant Director Skinner made the request.
Skinner requested me?
He'll soon find out why Skinner would switch him to a case like this. Mulder arrives at the scene of the murder in Newark, New Jersey, and when I was a kid, I always thought Newark was New York. A detective hands Mulder a pair of rubber boots because it's into the sewer they go.
Watch yourself.
The smell down there must be unbearable.
They say it cuts the smell if you don't breathe through your mouth.
They lied.
Yeah, now you can just taste it. Ugh. Mulder sees the body, but he's kind of pissed because he thinks he's being messed with, so he heads back to the FBI so he can argue with Skinner.
I need to speak to him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Skinner's unavailable.
Well, I guess she's gonna have to make him available.
What's my next punishment? Scrubbing the bathroom floors with a toothbrush?
You're way out of line, Agent Mulder. Fine. Come to my office, Agent Mulder. Please.
Probably not the best time to argue with Skinner when you're already on thin ice. Well, like he's giving a school book report, Mulder has to explain why he believes the case he was given to be a waste of his time.
Certainly, Agent Mulder, given your recent history here, you're not one to judge what is or is not a waste of the Bureau's time or manpower.
Skinner doesn't exactly care to hear what Mulder thinks of his new case, and instead informs Mulder that he is to investigate it to the best of his ability. So Mulder, like a defeated puppy with his tail between his legs, heads to a park to pout. But hey, our girl Scully shows up.
Is he taken?
No, but I should warn you, I'm experiencing violent impulses.
Well, I'm armed, so I'll take my chances.
Why do I feel like this is some kind of foreplay? Mulder tells her he's thinking of leaving the Bureau, and she wants him to make a transfer to Quantico so they can continue working together. She just misses him so much. Scully does come up with the ingenious plan to request to do the autopsy on the body recovered in Mulder's case. Well, it looks like she does get to perform the autopsy, and I'm really hoping it isn't John Carpenter in there again. Yeah, she would have smelled that body coming off the elevator. The actor is trying really hard not to breathe, but they really do get close to showing the goods on that body.
And I saw his pedis and the scrotums.
There does seem to be some strange markings on the body's arm, and then Scully cuts him open.
The liver shows some nodular hardening consistent with incipient alcoholism. Oh, God!
No matter how many times I've seen this, it still grosses me out. I really should have saved that Hank Scorpio clip for this one. Back in Newark, and some underpaid workers head down into the sewer. One of the guys goes into the water to clean a clog, but why doesn't he have gloves? His buddy manages to save him, but not before Fluke Man leaves him with a little parting gift. The worker is being checked on by a doctor, and it's nice to see Mrs. Budahas again. Mulder arrives on the scene, and she tells him the worker claims he was attacked by something in the sewer.
He does have a strange wound on his back.
What kind of wound?
Well, it could be some kind of bacterial infection.
The sanitation worker thinks he was attacked by some kind of snake like a python or boa constrictor, but what snake leaves wounds that look like that? Scully calls him to tell him about the parasite she found, and he says he'll be up there in about an hour. But just then, Mulder receives a call from a very mysterious character.
Mr. Mulder.
Yeah.
I think you should know you have a friend at the FBI.
Who is this?
I love how these people offer up no information and just rudely hang up without even saying goodbye. Mulder arrives at the lab and Scully shows him the worm she found in the body. She claims there's no sign of what killed this man, but it couldn't be one single worm, could it?
Something attacked a workman in a New Jersey sewer this morning.
Mulder, the Scolex is a tiny little organ. This is a huge bite mark.
How big can these things get?
Don't worry, Mulder, you're gonna find out soon enough. Scully tells Mulder that flukes aren't exactly known for going around and attacking people. Mulder kind of accuses Scully of talking to someone after the mysterious call he got, but by now he should know there's no way Scully would do anything behind his back. All the toothpaste in the world won't get rid of that taste, buddy. And just for the ladies, it's shower time. Oh god, I do not have enough flamethrower clips for this episode. Mulder speaks with the foreman at the sewage processing plant and shows him the fluke they found on the body. One of the workers sees the Fluke Man enjoying a nice dip, and it's kinda like the Gill Man enjoying a nice swim in the lagoon, except it's in poop water. Mulder and the foreman race down to the worker, and there it is in all its disgusting glory.
When Roto-Rooter comes, that's when your troubles go. When Roto-Rooter's here, that's when your troubles disappear. Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name,
and away go troubles down the drain.
Roto-Rooter, sewer service. Roto-Rooter.
Scully the nerd is doing some research on worms when a newspaper is slid under her door. Let's see, 18th century portrait painting comes to life. I think the Ghostbusters already dealt with that one. Famous film director's head explodes. Oh, please be someone at Disney. Nirvana's Star's Ashes are in this teddy bear? Wow, this magazine has everything. Alright, the real reason it was slid under her door was because it has an article on the Russian boat from the beginning of the episode. Mulder then calls to tell her about the newest Bigfoot sighting. Oh, and he caught Fluke Man or something. Alright, she has to believe this time, right? It can't always be swamp gas.
Mulder, this is amazing. Where the hell did it come from?
I don't know. But it looks like I'm gonna have to tell Skinner that his suspect is a giant blood-sucking worm after all.
Scully informs Mulder the body they found was of the poor lad Dimitri, who became the Fluke Man's first victim. Mulder asks how she made the connection, and she shows him the paper she got, which isn't her typical kind of reading material. Mulder hands his report to Skinner, and I can only imagine what he must be thinking.
The Justice Department has asked the suspect be transferred to an institution for a full psychiatric evaluation.
This is not a man. It's a monster. You can't put it in an institution.
Wait a second. They're gonna give the Fluke Man a psych evaluation like he's a human who just lost his shit. Oh yeah, the Fluke Man was just out buying groceries one day when he lost his mind because they didn't have his favorite brand of cereal. The man from earlier that was attacked also apparently died, and Mulder throws it in Skinner's face that had the X-Files still been open, Scully and himself probably could have saved the man. Skinner agrees but says they all have someone they take orders from. Poor Fluke Man is being carted off, and if he's not a friend, then why is he friend-shaped? Now I'm sure Fluke Man definitely won't escape from the ambulance.
This is Vehicle 49 or 40 requesting immediate backup and assistance.
The federal marshal slash doctor slash alcoholic negligent father stops at a bait shop of all places to see where the Fluke Man went. However, it looks like he managed to worm his way out of this one. You thought snakes and rats were the worst thing you had to worry about in the toilet. Now there's Fluke Men too? What's next, ghoulies?
Ghoulies. They'll get you in the end.
I just had to speak, didn't I? The next morning, Waste Disposal Service arrives to clean out the outhouses and talk about a crappy job. Mulder arrives on the scene, and as soon as the tanker carrying Fluke Man drives by, it's suddenly dead of night.
Mulder.
Mr. Mulder, I'll make this brief. Success in your current assignment is imperative.
Who am I speaking to?
Are you hearing me?
He gets a call from that mysterious man again, who pretty much tells him the X-Files will be reinstated as long as he continues solving these cases. It then dawns on Mulder that Fluke Man must be on the tanker truck, so he drives to the sewage processing plant, and would you look at that, it's suddenly morning again. He talks to the foreman, who tells him the truck could have come and gone already and he wouldn't know it, which says a lot about his ability as a foreman.
If it's here, it's going to be trapped here.
Guess all we can do is wait.
No, the waiting game sucks. Let's play Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Scully calls Mulder and tells him the disgusting news, that she believes Fluky is transferring its eggs through its bite, and these worms she found are its babies.
If it finds a new host.
I know, Scully. It could multiply.
It already found a new host. We literally watched the sanitation worker cough up a baby Fluke. The foreman catches up with Mulder and shouts to him that they may have found something in one of the pipes. They arrive on the scene and Mulder just heads on inside. Again, no PPE, no gloves. OSHA is going to have a field day with these guys. Honestly, he deserved to fall in. Mulder jumps in the poop water after the foreman, but it honestly looks pretty clean, all things considered. For some reason, Fluke Man lets go of the foreman and decides to make a mad dash for the exit. I guess Fluke Man had to split. And no, I'm not sorry for the bad puns. But don't worry about Fluke Man, worms are known for regenerating missing halves of their body. Mulder is going to need a week-long shower after this. Sometime later, Mulder meets with Scully at the park bench again.
Human?
Yes, but still capable of spontaneous regeneration like any fluke or flatworm.
The Russian ship was carrying salvaged material from the meltdown in Chernobyl, and Scully believes that may have been what caused this mutation. Mulder then says that 3 species disappear off the planet every day, and imagine how many new ones are created. I love this episode so much. The Fluke Man is definitely top 10 when it comes to X-Files monsters. Are there really any more iconic? You could say Tombs, but I think they may be on equal footing here. So far, this is definitely the grossest episode of the series, and not for those with a weak stomach. Yeah, it's not as gory as the stuff they get away with on TV now, but it's still pretty damn effective. We get that little tease of the Fluke Man at the end, and it would have been great to see him return at some point down the road. I mean, there should be multiple Fluke Men with all the larvae that got away. He does actually make a return in the X-Files Season 10 comic books, which came out before the show came back in 2016. We also get the introduction to X, or sometimes called Mr. X. He basically takes over the Deep Throat role from here on out in the series. The host currently has an 8.2 on IMDb, which of course it does because Fluke Man is awesome. And it's been a while, but I want to mention Cinefantastique because they gave it a 2.5 out of 4-star rating. But the reason why I want to bring them up is because one of their criticisms is that the host is a letdown because the Fluke Man is ultimately just a guy in a rubber monster suit. Now, as a fan of 80s horror films, or just horror prior to the 2000s, there is nothing better than a man in a monster suit. It always looks better than anything else. There's a reason why movies made 30 to 40 years ago look significantly better than any of the stuff that comes out today. But I don't even know what they are expecting. CGI wasn't really a readily available thing back then, so I don't know what else they would have done. I know I just ranted, but it was such an odd thing to criticize. Speaking of the Fluke Man, he was played by Darren Morgan, the brother of co-executive producer and writer Glenn Morgan. The concept of the Fluke Man came to Chris Carter after closely observing his dog's worms, which is disgusting, and an article about Chernobyl. The costume for the Fluke Man was designed by special makeup effects supervisor Toby Lindala. The suit took roughly 6 hours to put on, and at one point, Darren had to wear it for 20 hours consecutively. There was no hole in the front for him to use the bathroom, and he couldn't eat anything. On top of all of that, every time they went in the water would completely destroy the suit, requiring Toby to rebuild one from scratch each time. Glenn Morgan had a hard time coming to terms with the fact that his brother was the Fluke Man. On his memory of it, he said, "At one point, I saw Darren getting made up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. After dinner and a few drinks, I went back to Darren's trailer at like 1 in the morning, and there's this thing in a rubber suit with my brother's voice. I said, I really can't deal with this, I've gotta go." David Duchovny never saw Darren outside of the Fluke Man makeup, and the two would oddly enough sit next to one another on the flight to Vancouver to film the episode Humbug, which Darren himself wrote. Darren apparently asked David to sign a book of his with the words Duchovny's Nemesis. David was confused but did it. Only after did Darren reveal he was the one who played the Fluke Man, which David gave him props for waiting a half hour before pulling that prank. The Host is such a fantastic and memorable episode, and I just cannot recommend it enough. Please check it out if you have never seen it before. Next up, we have the return of the lone gunman in the episode Blood. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe if you aren't already. Let me know down in the comments why you think Fluke Man is so great, and if you don't think he is, well, you're just wrong. Thank you for watching, and stay spooky.
Ever wonder what lives beneath your streets?
He was attacked by something down in the sewer.
Friday, Agents Mulder and Scully go looking, and what they find
Oh, God.
will terrify you.
This is not a man, it's a monster.
Nature didn't make this thing. We did.
An all-new X-Files, Friday at 9, 8 Central.